Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for The Walking Dead Comics issue 175. This one was really good. I said at the beginning and kinda during the live reaction, The Walking Dead Comics issue 175 review. Oh my god, I'm just so scatterbrained right now, but I said at the beginning of the live reaction, and I wanted to explain it more after going back and of course listening to the live reaction while editing it, what I meant by this story could be just terrible or great. And what I mean by that is we're getting into some big group, 50,000 people. It seems like they have like soldiers and this politician businesswoman looking leader from the upcoming covers. So I feel like there's every chance this story could end up just giving us a bland evil empire type place. Like, the evil empire type deal has been done. It's been done poorly, it's been done well, but it's been done a whole hell of a lot since the 70s and technically probably even before then. So it's been done so many times, I don't think anybody wants to see that. If it's like some very, I don't want to say non-realistic, but like some sci-fi cheesy Hunger Games or that kind of series type stuff with this group, I don't think I'm going to be all that into it, especially even if it's just an evil group. If this place is another evil group, then a lot of people complain. The biggest complaint I see about The Walking Dead is that it's repetitive, that all they do, they go to a new place, beat an evil group, get sort of in a situation where they have to move on to a new place, get into a deal with another evil group. And that's not terribly unrealistic. It's an okay formula. But every once in a while, it's not good. And I think this is the situation where they have so much potential to give us just a new area of the Walking Dead universe and a new place for stories to happen. There's so much potential there that it would be one hell of a waste to just make this another evil group, or to just have Rick just royally mess this up. So hopefully Rick doesn't completely fuck this up. But I was scared it would be sort of a generic sci-fi type deal and it'd be like what we've seen again and again already. But this is actually kind of cool. I'm liking the way this is set up. It almost in some ways reminds me of a The Last of Us type settlement, but beyond that, because it's different, I don't want to compare it too much. Beyond that, it's like this meeting place where people have formed communities and people have traveled and communities have been destroyed, and after a while all the people end up filtering together, and it's kind of what's happened with Rick's group, where all these people, where it wasn't safe anywhere else, ended up filtering together at the alliance of communities between Alexandria, Kingdom, Hilltop, and all them. And now they are possibly going to end up filtering towards this Commonwealth, or at least joining up and allying with this Commonwealth, which I think could be a much more exciting storyline than them being another evil group to have to fight. Or even just the government and higher-ups being corrupt. I think a much more interesting storyline, have the leaders of this place be good and show how our characters deal with running into a group that's actually good. We've run into so many bad groups that running into a more powerful group that's good, to me, is a more exciting story to see how they react to that than if they were evil, because we've seen that before with the Saviors. They were a much larger and more powerful group that were evil, relatively speaking, to where the main characters were. But either way, to go through it really quick, from the beginning to the end before more general discussion. So there are armored soldiers at the beginning holding Michonne's group at gunpoint. Eugene sounded like, I don't know how many of you ever watch Catfish, but he sounds like this whiny basement nerd who's never talked to a real girl before, who talked to what he thought was a real girl on the internet and got completely catfished, and now he's sat there, met with people that aren't her, and he's just this whiny bitch, I want Stephanie. And I've never been a massive fan of Eugene, but he's alright in the comics. There's no real problem with Eugene in the comics. But holy damn, this issue was Eugene annoying. I was actually annoyed with him. So they meet Lance Hornsby. He's the guy that handles entrance into the Commonwealth. Commonwealth being a name that was used for Fallout, I kind of thought maybe Kirkman would go for something that hadn't been used before. And Commonwealth is very, very general and generic, and it is a really cool post-apocalyptic community or area name. So yeah, it makes total sense to go with that because it's a cool name, but I was kind of thinking maybe he'd go for something a bit more original. Either way. Eugene still being a whiny bitch while Lance is just trying to ask them questions. He's being a bit of a prick about it, but you also understand that on the one hand, while he's being a prick, on the other hand, it's kind of, it makes sense that they need to know. All he's really asking is, who are you, where are you from, and all that before we let you into our place, which seems like very basic entry-level questions, and he wasn't even a dick about it where he was like, we don't know that much about Juanita, but we can find out more later, let's just get back. If you trust her, we trust her. She doesn't seem like she's planning to try anything. Like, in general, though he was kind of being a prick about the questions, he ended up being pretty nice to them overall. So yeah, he was just trying to get info from them, really. And Eugene, while he's just trying to get info, Eugene's like, and I get why you wouldn't just trust him. We could end up with a Terminus situation, except in the comics rather than the TV show. But though I get why you wouldn't trust him, Eugene was putting their life at so much risk when all they had to do was answer questions, head in there. They didn't have to give away too much information, really. Yeah, and he just continually antagonized them. It wasn't enjoyable at all to see Eugene be such a whiny bitch. Going on from them, Officer Samuels is mentioned by name, and I believe he's the one that talked to them at the beginning when they were first at gunpoint, and then I think he was probably the one that talked to Michonne later on when they were on the way to the Commonwealth, because I feel like he's going to be a character that they continue to build up. I think if it was different officers talking all those different times and it was just different nameless officers, that's one thing and we wouldn't get any characters out of it, but I think Kirkman's trying to make a character out of the situation and not waste any of the dialogue. So that's what I think that feels like. Michonne does way better than Eugene. Michonne answers their questions, handles things really well. I like that they actually talk about the guts trick too when he asks, did your people pick up any weird ways of living that we need to know about? And I was thinking, okay, yeah, like the guts trick stuff, if they had ended up like whispers, if they had ended up like cannibals. And he mentions a guy that they took in that just wore guts all the time. Now this isn't a crossover with Fear the Walking Dead. It's not even really a direct reference probably, but I think it might be a nod, might be a reference to that, just sort of a little in-joke, I guess. Princess may end up being a problem, though, because they mention that they don't know much about her, and he seems a little bit weary and suspicious of her. She's not exactly, though she's very entertaining as a character, looking at it from the character's point of view, she's not very socially adept, I would say, because of not being around people for so long. So she could end up causing them some problems, since they don't even know her that well. Eugene still, even when they're trying to get to the place, Eugene is still antagonizing them, threatening for them to shoot him and shoot them now if they don't get to see Stephanie, and it is just completely ridiculous. Eugene was being terrible. Then the officers handle a herd while they're on the way there. We find out they're super, super organized, obviously. Not only are they organized when it comes to fighting, like you could say maybe a little bit more organized than Rick's army under Dwight. Not only are they organized in that aspect, but they know where all the different herds and movements of walkers are. They've assigned them colors, like they were asking, is this the magenta swarm or something like that? I think they called it a swarm. I forget what word they used for it. So they're very, very organized and have lookouts everywhere that are tracking the movements of walkers too. And I like, if you notice, the place where Lance was answering them questions was sort of a modified rail car that they lifted the doors up on, and he could sit in there with a desk and table and talk. So it seems like this rail station is maybe maybe a common place that they meet new groups. and that's why they have that set up ahead of time. They tell them to go there, they set up in the train car, and then they wait for them each time. Because for them to, well, I guess it makes sense they could set up and just do it this once, because they had warning about a week or so, I think, that Eugene's group was coming. So it all makes sense. So the Commonwealth, we start to see a little bit. They have a stadium, they have concerts there and sport leagues, and they have 50,000 people at least, which is crazy. And a concept I really love that we get introduced to is the Wall of the Lost, and I love that concept where people from the community come to the Wall of the Lost to post pictures of people that they knew that didn't die, whether it's family members, friends, but people they don't know that died or not, so that if they make it to the Commonwealth, they can find each other. And then, big reveal at the end, Michonne's daughter, Elodie, has left a picture of Michonne up there on the Wall of the Lost, and says to meet Elodie at the bakery on 6th Street. So that's actually a really great reveal at the end, because I think so many stories can come out of that. But yeah, I really, really like this issue. I thought Eugene sucked. I've never been a huge fan, but I have never been actively annoyed and frustrated with the character like that, to the point where I'm like, the other characters, he is being a danger to them. They should be pissed at him. Hopefully Rick won't fuck anything up with this community like he tends to do all the time. So hopefully he won't mess any of this up. And hopefully, instead of being just an evil organization, because that's going to be boring as hell if it is, because we've seen it a million times, hopefully they'll actually be good guys, and this can just be a new location for storylines to happen, rather than sort of a concept and enemy in a way. So yeah, hopefully this all works out. But yeah, and I really, really like the story possibilities that can go down now that we have Michonne and Michonne's daughter. And the meeting between them, stuff that can go down in the future, what her daughter is like, because she doesn't know anything Michonne's been through this whole apocalypse, and neither does Michonne know what she's been through. So it could end up being really, really cool. Either way, I would give this issue 8 stadiums, 8 Walls of the Lost out of 10. I was gonna say modified rail cars, but yeah, I'd give it 8 out of 10. I thought it was really, really good. Not the absolute best, not super duper emotional or anything. I mean, it probably will be when Michonne actually meets her daughter, but yeah, I thought it was great. The negatives, though, were basically just Eugene being really, really annoying and frustrating. But that's it. So either way, if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this issue, what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more The Walking Dead, both comics and TV show, once the TV show's back. Tons of other stuff on the channel if you're into that too. Occasionally I do videos on Fear. I used to review it week to week, but I didn't last season. I don't know what I'm going to do about Fear from now on. I don't know. Maybe I'll cover it, maybe I won't. I enjoy Fear. I just don't really feel like making videos on it most of the time. But yeah, I got a little bit distracted there. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. And if you want a link to our Discord server to talk with me and more of us there, we don't really talk about The Walking Dead there that often, but we always can. If you want a link to that, just ask and I'll give you one. So that's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.